Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today, we will be starting our Bhagavad Gita chapter summary series. Firstly, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Jayesh Prabhu, who has taken this initiative to gather everybody and continue what we had started during the Jagannath Mayapur Rath Yatra on the bus. So, thank you, Prabhu, for taking this initiative, forming the WhatsApp group, collecting everybody so that I have the opportunity once again to purify myself and have more association with the Bhagavad Gita. Okay. And thank you, everybody else, for joining. And thank you for taking your precious time out to hear me. So, today we will be starting with chapter 1 of Bhagavad Gita. But before we start this, let's understand why we are talking about Bhagavad Gita. Why not any other book on this planet? What is so special about Bhagavad Gita that we should talk about this and not anything else? So, the thing is that this Bhagavad Gita is a conversation. Conversation between who? It's between Krishna and Arjun. At least theoretically, we need to understand before we start reading this book is that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay, maybe some of you don't believe that yet, but let's say theoretically we accept it before we go ahead. Okay, and slowly and steadily as we go through the chapters we will understand why we should believe it. Okay, so just like in our school, we were taught theoretically that two times hydrogen and one time oxygen becomes water. We had no clue how hydrogen can be two times, how oxygen can be one time, and how two gases become a liquid, but we accepted it. And later on, after accepting it theoretically, when we went to the practical science lab, we actually saw it, right? So let's accept this first and then let's practically see it later. Okay. So, why Bhagavad Gita? So, this is a conversation between Arjuna and Krishna, and Lord Krishna, now that we know, is the supreme personality of Godhead. So, when any word that is spoken by the Lord Himself is non different from the Lord, right? And then, here, whenever we are reading Bhagavad Gita, we are listening about Bhagavad Gita. So, that means we are in direct association with the Lord Himself. So, isn't it wonderful that just by connecting with this book, you are connecting with the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And that's why we read this book and no other book. There is one more reason if you're still not convinced. The other reason is that this book is a book which is of practical application in your life. It's not just some book which was written many years ago on an episode that happened many years ago on a battlefield. No, this book will be relevant to you today and every day in your life. And let's see how you can practically apply this book, because this book is not just for spiritualists. Even industry leaders, sportsmen, politicians, life coaches, every person is learning from this book and applying it on in their daily life and becoming successful in their respective industries. Okay, so we move to chapter 1, but just to give a background about what is happening over here, what is the scene over here? Okay, so as some of you might not know, some of you might know that Bhagavad Gita is a part of the very famous popular incident called Mahabharat. Mahabharat was a battle. Let's see who, where, when, how, when, what, why of each and every topic that we discuss. So, Mahabharat was a war. What it is? It was a war. What or why? Oh no, let's go who. Who was this battle between? It was between the Pandavas and the Kauravas. Okay, when was this battle fought? It was 5,000 years ago. And why was this battle fought? Because even though the Pandavas were the rightful owners of or rightful heirs, they had the rightful claim on the palaces, on the kingdom. Okay, but however, what the Kauravas did is they were very unjust to the Pandavas and they didn't even give them a piece of land where they could stay or work. And therefore, to fight this injustice, the battle became inevitable. And where was this battle? It was at the holy place of pilgrimage called Kurukshetra. Okay. So that is about the background. Okay. So now we are ready to jump into chapter 1. The title of chapter 1 is If you all have your Bhagavad Gita in front of you, maybe somebody can read out aloud what is the chapter 1 title.
Observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Thank you. Yes, that's right. Observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So we are going to divide this chapter into 5 different parts. The first part is that Dhritarashtra asks a question. Okay. So Dhritarashtra is the father of Duryodhana. And who is Duryodhana? Duryodhana is the team leader, chief commander, army in chief of the Kauravas. Okay. So Dhritarashtra is asking a question. And then the part 2, the title of part 2 would be Duryodhana observes the army. So now, because the title of this chapter is Observing the Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra, therefore, each party will observe the army. Or I would say the chief of each party will observe the army. So that's why first Duryodhana is observing the armies. And of course, later Arjuna will observe the army because he is the chief on the Pandavas side. So that's going to be our fourth subtopic. Hey, we missed the third one, right? What was the third one? The third one is signs of victory. Even before the war began, there are some signs which is telling us who's going to be victorious over here. We know Pandavas, but let's see what signs indicate that. Okay, so that would be part 3. So again, part 1, what was it? That Dhritarashtra asks a question. Part 2, Duryodhana observes the army. Part 3, there were signs of victory. And part 4, who observes the army? Arjuna observes the army, right? Correct. And lastly, part 5, Arjuna decides not to fight. Okay. So let's break down, deep dive into all of these parts individually. Okay. So who, when, where, what, why, we will use these questions. Okay. So when is constant? When is of course 5,000 years ago, as we discussed, because the battle was 5,000 ago. So we will not repeat this in each of these subtopics. Okay. So who changes? Who? Let's see in subtopic number 1, who are the who's? Okay. The first who obviously is Dhritarashtra because he is asking the question. To whom? Who is he asking the question to? Yeah, Sanjaya. Sanjaya. What is he asking? Let's go to the what. What is he asking? He's asking, that is shloka number 1, the first ever shloka of Bhagavad Gita, which is धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किम् अकुर्वत संजय. Meaning, O Sanjaya, what did my sons and the sons of Pandu, having assembled at this holy place of pilgrimage of Kurukshetra, what did they do? Kim akurvata? Okay, so this is what Dhritarashtra is asking. Okay, so who, whom, what, where of course we know, when of course we know. Why? Why is Dhritarashtra asking this question? Because Dhritarashtra is blind. That is why he is asking this question to Sanjaya, who is his minister. But Dhritarashtra is not just materially blind, he is also spiritually blind. Okay, so that's part 1. So again, Dhritarashtra asks the question to Sanjaya. He wants to know what is happening at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, which is also a holy place of pilgrimage, because both the parties have assembled now. And why is he asking? Because he is blind. Okay. So let's go to part 2. What was part 2, guys? Part 2, because the title of the chapter is Observing the Armies. Who's observing the army first? Duryodhana. Okay. Duryodhana is observing the army. So Duryodhana observes the army. Who is the who in here? Okay. Of course, first who is Duryodhana. Okay. Duryodhana goes to whom? Who are the whom's? He goes to Dronacharya and yes, correct. Bhishma Pitama. Yeah, he goes to these two people. Okay, then comes what? What does he do when he goes to these two people? So what he does is he goes and gives them a pep talk. Okay, before any war, before any project, before any game in the sports place, we give a pep talk. Yeah, so that's what he's doing. He's giving a pep talk. And why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? Because he wants to ensure that these two guys don't get biased towards the opposite party in the army, because they are related to the Pandavas also, correct? Yeah, and the same relation. So therefore, he's just making sure they don't get biased. Also, by giving a pep talk, he is not just talking to these two people, he's motivating his own army men. Okay, because why, we will see in the next part why he needs to give this motivation. Maybe because they are already demotivated. Let's see in part 3. Okay, part 3, what did we say? What was it? 5 signs of victory. There are some signs of victory which already show who's gonna win. Okay, we know, most of us, who's gonna win. Of course, Pandavas are gonna win. Okay, and what are the signs which show that Pandavas are gonna win this battle? So the first sign, and very obvious one, is Krishna is with the Pandavas. We just said, at least theoretically, we believe that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So of course, if God is with you, you will win, right? Can anybody defeat you if God is with you? Of course not. Okay, so that's the first sign of victory. What is the second sign of victory? The second sign of victory is that this battle is being fought at a holy place of pilgrimage, okay, which is Kurukshetra. So obviously the righteous people will win, the holy people will win. That's true. And what is the third sign? That the chariot of Arjuna was given by Agni Dev. So it's a special chariot which is given by Agni Dev, right? So this chariot is given by Agni Dev, and that is why it's a special chariot, and that is a sign. Then the fourth sign. The fourth sign is that on the chariot is a flag, and on the flag is whose picture? Hanuman. Hanuman is the devotee of the Lord. Yeah? So that's the fourth sign. And the last but not the least, the fifth sign is that when Arjuna and Krishna blow their conch shells at the beginning of the war, the hearts of the opposite army get shattered. And that is why you remember the pep talk that was required. So these are the 5 signs of victory. Okay. And then next part, what was the fourth subtopic that we mentioned? Now who's going to observe the armies? Correct. Arjuna observes the armies. Okay. So Arjuna. Who's the who over here? Obviously Arjuna. And he goes to whom? Krishna. Correct. He goes to Krishna, and he asks Krishna, he requests Krishna to take his chariot in the middle of the battlefield. Okay. Why he does that? Because he wants to see who are his opponents. Who is he gonna fight against? Okay. So what happens after he does this? When he sees, oh, my opponents are my own family and kinsmen, my own relatives, my teachers, everybody is against me, they want to fight against me. What happens? We go to the last topic. He becomes morose and he decides not to fight. Yeah. So Arjuna decides he will not fight. So that's the summary of chapter 1. Was it easy? Can I have yes, easy, 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 easy peasy, easy peasy, lemon squeezy on the chat? Yes. Okay. Thank you, guys. Yes. So that's chapter 1. But wait, we are not done here. Why? What did we say? That this book has a practical application in your daily life, and it is used by industrialists, sportsmen, politicians, blah, blah, blah. Oh, where's this? What can I do if Arjuna decides not to fight or they are blowing their conches? How is that relevant to my daily life? So let's see how can we use this chapter 1 in our daily lives, or what is the practical application, or what's in it for me? What is my take home? Okay, in this. So normally what happens is you might have come across a situation in your life where you might also be at a crossroad, okay? Like in the middle of the battlefield, where you see your own family members, your kinsmen, or your own people are against you, standing against you, right? So what do you do in that case? Or if not that, then nobody else but your own mind is acting as your enemy. Been there, done that? Guys, can I have yes, 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 no, no, no on the chat? If this resonates with you, have you been in this kind of a situation? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So, what are we supposed to do? Doesn't it happen that you feel sometimes, oh, let me just quit everything. Let me quit my job. Let me quit my business. Sometimes let me quit my family. Let me just get out of this toxic marriage or a relationship. And then you decide you don't want to go further. I'm just done with this life. Right? How many times we feel that? How many times are we on that kind of a crossroad in our life with in different situations, perhaps? And this is what Arjuna is here right now, right? So we are also sometimes in the place of Arjuna, and that is why this is relevant to us. So what do we do in that case, and what did Arjuna do in that case? So that answer we will get in chapter 2. So stay tuned, guys. We will see that in chapter 2 how to solve this problem. Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you so much. If anybody has some questions, comments, please let me know.